So fun.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Santa Bernardino Union School District Board meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we can please start off with the roll call.
Mr. Neil Patel,
President willing.
Ms. Alvariano,
I am here.
Ms. Sarah Turner,
Present.
Mr. Jacob
Here
Sandoval,
as well.
Ms. Cindy Lopez is not here this evening.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to item 1.3, can I get a motion to approve the board agenda?
Make a motion to approve the board agenda.
Second.
All those in favor,
Aye, Captain.
motion 4-0.
Okay, today in closed session, we have petition, item 2.1, potential litigation, Government Code Section 54956.8. 2.2, public employee performance evaluation, Government Code Section 54957. 2.3, conference with labor negotiators under Government Code Section 54957.6. Do we have any public comments regarding closed session items?
Do not.
Okay, and get a motion to adjourn the closed session?
Motion to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
All those in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
motion 4-0.
Okay, thank you. See you afterwards.
Here tonight, boy.
I know.
Wow.
Yes. Hold on a second.
Celebrity.
Okay, let's get a countdown, please. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Santa Rita Union School District Board meeting. We're going to reconvene back into open session. During closed session, nothing was voted on, so there's nothing to report on. We're going to move on to item 5 approval of consent agenda items for items 5.1 to 5.3. If I can please get a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, is there any comments submitted from SRTA?
We do not have any.
Okay, and how about CSEA?
Neither for CSCA
Okay,
as
we're
well.
going to move on to the superintendent's cabinet.
Okay, we are going to start at well, Krisha, do you want to hold off because you have a report, or do you have something for your director's report as well?
I don't have anything for my director's report,
Okay.
so we can wait for.
So we're going to move on to our Director of Special Education and Student Services, Miss Melanie Grundy.
Perfect. I just have a few highlights. We had a wonderful professional development day on the 13th. The SPED Student Services team was able to do assistive technology, which focused on a lot of new technology that's coming in where we can support special ed students in accessing. We also looked at augmentative communication devices and kind of practiced and learned new apps that focus on that. And then the bigger team came together and we did a Woodcock Johnson 5. So that's the assessment that special education teachers use, as well as some of our school psychologists. And that's all going digital. So we were able to get a really in-depth training on that. And then we actually came together last week at our All SPED PLC and did a lot of practice. So the team is very excited because it's now all digital, and they're going to be doing it with iPads, and it's just going to be a lot more interactive with students and give us really quick results, which is also nice because we'll just right when they submit, we'll have everything to look at virtually. The last but not least, we're doing vision and hearing district wide. So a huge thank you to our 2 district nurses. Elizabeth Settleman actually organized the whole thing. So they're going school to school to conduct those vision and hearing tests. So, and that happens every fall. So they're busy doing that. So that's it for me.
Okay. And then we're going to go on to our Director of
So is there any questions or comments from the board?
No, thank
Right.
you.
our Director of Engagement and School Climate, Dr. Summer Prather-Smith.
Good evening. I just wanted to share with you, on Monday, we held our universal mental health screener for our 5th graders across the district. So as you know, the last couple years, we've been able to partner with Project Reach through CSUMB and target our middle schoolers for our universal mental health screener. This year, we went down to 5th grade, partnering with CSUMB again, but really turned our mental health team out on their own. So they ran it from their site. We were actually here in the boardroom, zoomed in to help support and supervise, but eventually we would like to do that district wide. So starting to do that gradual release of responsibility over there, and they did an amazing job. I want to share with you just a little bit of those outcomes. I have my glasses on. So just looking at some of the top rated areas that came forward. So again, keeping in mind, this is all 5th graders. So 246 5th graders did the universal screener. We had about 20% of our students indicate that they've engaged in self-harm. 13% of our students have had a suicidal thought within the past year. 4% of our students noted that they had tried to kill themselves at some point. 2% of our students feel that their safety is at risk right now, and I will tell you all the follow-up that happens. We had 8% of our students say that they felt harassed or threatened either in person or online within the past year, 8% in the last month, and 6% within the last week. We had 9% of our students note that they try to control their weight. We had 4% of our students note that they've tried alcohol at least once or twice. We had 2% of our students note that they have tried a vaping device. 1% of our students noted that they've tried or used marijuana, weed, or cannabis. And then in the past year, we had 1% of our students note that they had used or tried cigarettes or tobacco. So any of our students who showed up with any area of red, meaning any kind of self-harm, suicidal thought, past activity, or feeling at risk at that time, the mental health team checks in with them immediately. So we have a team of mental health providers at each site. They pull the students in and do an evaluation in the moment. During this screening across our sites, we did reach out to mobile crisis team for 4 of our students to have that advanced input from them. In all 4 cases, they were able to safety plan with the parents and then have the student return home, and then our team follows up. Any student who comes out in the moderate range, the team met with them yesterday and today, and then they'll kind of determine if that requires a cost referral and they want to do greater evaluations or looking at what services they may need, or if they're able to just kind of provide some input at that time. We do know that with this screener, sometimes students misinterpret the question, and so sometimes they'll come out higher, but then when we do that check-in, it's not, they just misinterpreted what was there. Any student who has a high to moderate area, we reach out to the parent that day, share the information with them, and provide any supports that were needed. And then for the areas of bullying and harassment, we get a list of those students, and then those will go over to our bullying prevention team at each site. We contract with Harmony at Home for bullying prevention coaches, and then they'll check in with those students and provide direct support to them as well. And then for any students who indicated drug, alcohol, or tobacco, we'll do an individual check-in with them and then connect them with Community Human Services, our DAISY drug, alcohol, and tobacco counselor. So the results very much mirror what we saw at the middle school, not, as a little bit less than what we see when we screen at the middle school, but overall, we know that a lot of our students have a high need. And so again, I just want to thank this board for approving all of the mental health supports that we have in place. We have a lot. It's not enough. I don't know that there would ever be enough, but I was grateful on that day to have a big team that could intervene and support our students.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely really alarming, but at least it's good to know that information to kind of figure out the resources. When those students or parents that you reach out to either for different types of support, how is the students' reaction or parents' reaction when the school district reaches out? I guess I'm like understand how that kind of.
So we did a lot of messaging before the screeners. So parents had the option to opt out. We did have opt-outs, a very low percentage. I think it was about 2% of our students opted out. So the parents who students took it knew that we were doing the screener that day. It's kind of mixed. We had some parents who had a lot of questions, right? They wanted a copy of the survey, for example, which we don't provide them. And that's part of what's on that reverse consent, that, we can give them information related to it, but we won't provide it. So a lot of questions. Some parents, asked for resources that would support their student or what the next steps were. But overall, we got a lot of thank yous. Thank you for identifying this. Thank you for providing that support to my student. Similar to what you said, like we have the knowledge and now we can do more. We saw this a little bit at the middle school before, but we did have several students that were on nobody's radar, right? Like when we looked back, several students who we knew, we'd been working with them, wasn't a surprise, but a couple of students, more than a couple of students, where there was nothing, no counseling background, no discipline background, no real notes that we had. And those ones are always the ones that worry me more so. The students who we know a lot about, we're getting the supports. And it just reiterates why these screeners are so important, because it brings those students to the forefront also. But overall, very supportive from our parents.
And after the screening gets done and the students that are identified that you're going to reach out to, how does that happen? Like, are they in the class and they get pulled out, or how does that kind of
So
take place?
it depends. Like each case is very individual. I'm not going to show you, but on the form, I brought you the kind of the top areas of concern, but there's also a big strength space in there. And one of the questions around in there is there a meaningful adult on your campus that you connect with or that you can talk to? If they've indicated that, we'll reach out to that adult and ask them to check in with the student. For any student in the red, they're pulled out of class. So we pull them out and do those screeners with them right away. Students who are in the moderate to low range, but there's areas of concern, we kind of meet as a team, or that site team meets, and we kind of determine what's the best approach. Sometimes it's just a call to the parent. So sometimes it's, it was indicated that your student may be experimenting with drug, alcohol, and tobacco. Are you aware? What can we do to support you? And then we talk through it in that way. Sometimes they're already in counseling, and so that counselor will address it with that student during the counseling time. So it's really a case-by-case basis based on what the student's survey tells us and what background we have on them as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think to make sure students moving forward are as honest as they can so they get
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
without them feeling, and I'm just thinking out
Yeah.
loud as far as
Yeah.
them feeling like they'll be singled out or,
Yeah.
or what, because we want it to be obviously a safe space and
Right.
students to feel comfortable like, hey, or a friend saying, hey, you should fill it out. I feel like you need, support
Yeah,
and stuff.
what we've gotten, I mean, this is now our third year, is from our students who have participated and who have been pulled or who have gotten the supports. We haven't yet had a student who was not grateful. Most of the time students are we know that with suicide, most people want them to ask. I mean, not most people. Statistically, people want to be asked. So if they are asked, they will tell the truth. It's very, very rare that somebody won't disclose if they're having suicidal thoughts, especially in youth. It's more frequently that we don't ask. So in these situations, what we've seen is students grateful for the response. We haven't experienced a time yet where a student has been hesitant once we've pulled them. I mean, I guess we wouldn't necessarily know if a student chose to not answer truthfully.
Yeah.
But overall, when we meet with the students after and we come back, it's been positive,
Yeah. And
the support.
we might not have that situation on our campus. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking out loud a little bit
Yeah.
as far as like, if there's, and you probably have already doing this, which
Yeah.
is, I mean,
Yeah.
is like campaigns where it makes it more acceptable
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
reach out for help and
Yeah.
just students to know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and we have a lot of that with our counseling team now. I think that this generation, it's a little bit more so. It's oftentimes the parents. So
Okay,
for
that's what I was
any,
gonna ask.
for any no form that we receive back, that's what I did this weekend. For any no form we receive back, I contact all of those parents. I call them. I make sure they understand what the screener is. I work to understand why they said no. 90% of the time, they didn't know that they were saying no to the screener. So their students said, like, sign this form, like, mark this, and there wasn't an understanding about what it was. I would say of the 10% that are left that really marked no, once we have a conversation and we get clarification with them, half of those consent to the screener. The other 5% vary between families who just don't feel comfortable having that happen at school, or those that are already, their students already receiving some kind of therapeutic support and they don't want to re-trigger them by having them take the assessment. So yeah, mostly our parents, I mean, a lot of it I think is those personalized calls to families to help them understand what the screener is, what the response will look like, and what supports we have in place, more so than we do kind of a general campaign as we send out the information, but I think those personalized contacts with parents have the biggest impact
okay,
for them.
thank you. If there's any other questions or comments from the board?
Go ahead.
And just how often do they take this assessment? Is it once a year?
So at the middle schools, we do it twice. So we do, we started doing it twice, once at the beginning and once at the end. At elementary, this is the first time we've done it. So we usually do it at the end. And the goal would be that we give it to these guys. For example, they're taking it as 5th graders, then they would take it again as 6th graders.
Okay.
So that they're getting it each year, but they're getting it in the next grade level.
I think I'm concerned about all of the kids that need help and
Mhm.
answered the assessment. But the suicide one is the one that I'm just,
Yeah.
that just,
Yeah.
Yeah. Needs to really be addressed.
Yes. And I mean, as you guys know, that is definitely one that's close to me. My sister died of suicide 3 years ago. And so for us, that's part of why this screener has personal meaning for me as well. It's really important to me that we identify students early and provide that support. And our team is very committed to that. All of our staff, including our after-school staff, were trained in the Columbia Lighthouse Suicide Risk Assessment. So, our goal is that anybody on a school campus can be somebody that a student could go to and get that screening as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. But thank you. Thank you for all that you do.
Mr. Patel?
Um, you know, the percentages were very high. I mean, they were shocking. But here's the thing. Suicide, drug abuse, that has always been part of this society. What I appreciate is that we're finally turning the corner in terms of making mental wellness and the addressing it and the familiarity with it and the acceptance of it as much as we do physical health.
Mhm.
And I've noticed that change in the last 5 to 10 years with additional services, additional support. And, we cannot provide services until we identify. We can't identify until people feel more comfortable in being identified.
Yeah.
And having the norms of the social culture of the school setting and having other students talk about it and encouraging it just as much as physical wellness. So I'm so glad that the corner is turning. I think our eyes are finally opening to what's always been there. I do feel that the numbers have increased due to various technology and other issues that pressures are placed upon our students. But I'm glad to see that as a society, and especially at the school environment, we're more open to this idea of open dialogue and not feeling ashamed of it. It's not a stigma. And so whatever we can continue to do to work on those fronts, make it more acceptable to talk about, make it more acceptable to do it, make it more acceptable for people to identify and get the help that they need. So I agree with you, Alba and Jacob, the numbers are staggeringly high. But for me, it's a sense of, okay, we're finally seeing what was always there, and now we can finally deal with it. So whatever we can do to encourage parents to have more of them allow this type of screeners to come forward with more parental education, as well as providing opportunities for students with various programs and, information items that we can spread through our individual schools, posters, talk about it, class discussions, I think we can go a long way into addressing it and getting those screened to get the service, to get the help that they need. So thank you for all you're doing, but the numbers are soberingly high.
And I'll just close by saying a huge, huge thank you to our mental health team. This is a toll on them on this day. That is a lot. I mean, they're committed to making sure that every student is seen and evaluated. I give them lots of good treats and snacks to get them through it, but it's a toll. So, a huge thank you to them for being committed to this work as well, and to the sites who support them in that. So thank you. Thank you.
All right, and next is our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Miss Becky Moore.
Thank you. The last couple of weeks, I have spent a lot of time with teachers and with students. We had our professional development day last Monday, as Melanie mentioned. For our K-6 teachers, we were able to do the second part of our training for our reading difficulties screener. Now that they have student data, they were able to access reports and talk about what to do next. And so we received really strong reviews for that. For middle school teachers, Krisha provided some training either in Gemini for our cohort or Nearpod, and teachers received some updates and refreshers with Elevation, which is our platform for English learner strategies and English learner data. Yesterday, Melanie and her team hosted the new teacher professional development, talking about special education with them. You did that. Last week and this week, I was with our math curriculum partner from Great Minds doing guided observations for leaders at McKinnon and La Jolla. So we've now visited all 6 of our school sites and have some trends district-wide for focus and next steps for teaching the curriculum with more fidelity and intention in order to get better outcomes for our students. And then today was really a highlight. We had we had county office administrators from our county and also from around the state of California visiting Santa Rita to see the great work that they've done with the Literacy Coach Grant. So the Santa Rita team was able to show off the data from last year for their first year of implementation and the growth that students made in literacy in grades kindergarten through third grade. We visited classrooms and had a wonderful presentation from the team, including Leonel from CBDIO and showing off that student who read the poem in Mixteco at the board meeting. Just smiles all around. We're so proud of what the team has done there at Santa Rita. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the board and the superintendent, starting off with Mr. Neil Patel.
Just some observations really quick. You know, I've always been a proponent of technology, always have, always will be. However, you know, for the last few years, I've been really focusing with my students in particular is to incorporate more reading, free reading, book reading, something where they have to hold and turn the pages and create the creativity of, as I tell them, make their own movies in their head as they're reading. And the other thing I've been pushing a lot is actual handwriting. You know, not keyboarding, but handwriting. And, you know, most recent studies are showing that those two components have probably the most direct effect on increasing reading and comprehension levels than almost any other technology out there. I know it's like back to the future type of mentality, but I really think we need to maybe think about how we incorporate more of that, you know, going back to the basics where everyone goes back to reading actual books, actually taking a pencil, learning to write in cursive. You know, if we're, you know, if that means we're going old fashioned, that means we're going back, then so be it. But I personally have noticed major changes in my students and their reading levels jumping, you know, when we can push that as much as possible. So like I said, I'm all for technology. I use Google Classroom, you know, Red Ink, you name it, you know, Edpuzzle. But at the same time, I'm thinking we're losing something, the basic nature of learning, which is getting back to that original point of holding a book, turning the pages physically, actually having to create new synapses in the brain by forcing you to have the hand and eye coordination to write out a meaningful paragraph, meaningful sentence. You know, I don't know. I just thought I'd share that a little bit today, but I personally have seen it. I've been using it for the last 4 or 5 years, and you know, the growth is there, but it has to be systematic. It has to be daily, you know. So I don't know how the rest of the board feels. I'm just throwing that out there, as well as to our admin, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, as I often am. But with this, I feel very strongly about. That's it.
Okay, Ms. Alvariano.
Well, I wasn't here for the last board meeting, but I do want, and I know that you talked about the town hall meeting, but I just wanted to reiterate how impressed I was with that town hall. And it was just phenomenal for me to see all these teachers, the district helping out, and the board and teachers. It was just really a great thing. And I just needed to say, as I know that you talked about it the last time, but I just needed to reiterate how impressed I was with everybody that participated and who got this town hall meeting going. I think Summer had a lot to do with it. So just kudos to you and the rest of the people who were involved. So thank you. But that's it. That's all I have to
Okay,
say.
Ms. Sarah Turner.
So Jacob and I and Superintendent Melissa had our first president, vice president, superintendent, just kind of agenda setting meeting. It was a fabulous meeting, and I just think that the extra time gave us things to just sort of brainstorm, like, what are the problems in our area? How does that impact the schools? How do we agendize that to talk about it? You know, we do have a little piece here of, future agenda items, but this gave us time to really talk about things and think about things. And one of the things that I brought up was, the rainy season is coming and there's going to be flooding in this area. How can we be proactive to help people? Who can we reach out to? And it was just the kind of thing, just the gift of time for that. So those are going to be agendized meetings that the public can see what we're talking about. It's not super exciting, but it just is a process of being able to get to some smaller things that later become bigger things and try to be proactive about them.
Perfect. Thank you. I don't have anything else to report besides what was said. Dr. Elm.
Last week, and I want to thank New Republic Elementary School administration and staff for hosting. Dr. Deneen Gus and Deputy Superintendent Porras and Trustee Mendoza came for their annual visit. So the county superintendent likes to visit each school district in the fall. And so we are tasked with selecting a school for them to visit. And so this year we highlighted New Republic, really focused on a lot of, and I want to thank the team here about what does true inclusivity of special education students with gen ed students look like. And so New Republic is, took a big leap leaning into that, especially for their RTI time. So they have RTI for reading and for math. And so we were able to talk about that in particularly as we walked around. So the idea being that it's not just inclusion for like PE and music, but it's truly like students going in for inclusion and intervention, and that sometimes that looks like our gen ed students are receiving their intervention in the special education room because some of those students are out with one of the general education teachers. And so it was really nice to see the systems approach that they've put into place and to be able to share that, which is part of the school sites work this year. But Heather was really able to speak to that as we saw those happening live, and what the different groups were focused on and looking like, and which students were being served where, and the importance of true inclusivity. Dr. Prather Smith has been working with our principals on our belonging book. And that was one of our last topics in a principals meeting was what does real inclusivity look like, and going through that. And so it was nice to then, in my role, see that in action at our visit with New Republic. But I want to thank the teachers and the staff for taking that on. They knew that we were going to have some visitors, and it was great. Miss Mendoza, Trustee Mendoza and MCOE, she's part of our area as our county trustee. So it was great to have her on the walkthrough as well.
Perfect. Thank you for the update. Moving on, any questions or comments from the board?
Just one, what is belonging book?
Summer?
So if you remember when I first came on board, we started working around restorative practices. And then so we did our restorative practices, kind of the foundation, and belonging is the next space. It's actually the initial space. So it's going backwards. It's like the prequel, right? So this idea of what do our schools do to make sure we know that we can prevent mental health crisis, bullying, we can prevent absenteeism when schools have created this sense of belonging for our students. And so we're really been focusing in our book, and I can share one with you, around like, what does that look like? Like, what are we actually doing? So each week at our principals meeting, we take a section of that. So last week was inclusion. So what does it really look like to have an inclusive environment? And then we talk through what those strategies are, and then everybody sets a goal for the following week, and then they go out and implement that. And then our team goes around and does these tallies. So we show up at random times in random spaces, and we just look at how many meaningful connections do students have with an adult. So that's like an adult walks by and they smile at them. They look at them. They say hello. They ask them if they're okay. They engage them in a conversation. We have all kinds of different categories. And so I didn't share during my time, but I hosted the classified professional development on October 13th. So we had 250 classified staff members and contracted providers at the rodeo grounds, and that was the foundation of the morning session, was around belonging, trauma-informed schools, and really that every adult in a campus has an impact. You can't just rely on the classroom teacher. Like, it takes all of us. You've seen the need. It's not any one person's responsibility. It's all of our responsibilities. So that's a long story to say that belonging is about really bringing forward to our sites, like, we all make an impact. And so what are we committing to each day?
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any 7.1, any public comments regarding non-agenda items?
We do not have any.
Okay, and 7.2, public comments regarding agenda items.
No public comments at all. Thank you.
Okay, next is information discussion items, 8.1, SRUSD Technology Department presentation.
Thank you. It's that time of year again. Our IT department is going to do some presentation on our overview of services and supports, and then some projects and new technologies that they are bringing in. I wasn't sure. I asked her, that's my fault. I'm like, maybe a handout too. And the irony of that wasn't lost on me. I was like, oh, yeah.
I just got it.
Yes, and away we go. Make sure I've got, yeah. There we are. And we're on. Perfect. First, I'd really like to thank our department overall. We are basically a basketball team. We got 5 on the court out there, super strong, and they have done so much work in the efforts, making sure everything is staying shipshape, upright. And I can't commend them enough for just all the efforts and everything that they've put in, especially since I've been here as well. Just super awesome team. And you'll notice this was a little AI generated cartoon image that took from our thing. So fun. Come on. Can you hit next for me? It's not clear. Thank you. All right. So just some updates in terms of our network and security. I know we reported on this at the end of our year. So we have been doing a lot of work scaling our department organization, especially with the 5 on the team. With deployment and training on all of our network security infrastructure, we've really built in not only our filtering systems, but also managed methods for monitoring behaviors online, as well as our network. Our district WAN has gone through with the upgrade for our E-rate. We are just getting ready to conduct an audit on our Google Workspace. So that way we can make sure that it's falling in alignment with some of the changes that Google's been making in their infrastructure, and making sure that that Google Workspace is really what is driving our entire district in terms of our domain. So making sure everything is organized in there. Our E-rate replacement of our switches and UPSs are coming up. That'll be our next E-rate that we'll be bringing to you. Those switches are going to build our capacity for our network. And we also are working over with JG to get the cameras. We're going to be working with Quovo again to get the cameras installed on the new construction. And once GV goes in, we'll be working on that as well. And we're just doing a lot to produce a lot of system integrations, making sure that we don't have things all segmented out, different things to monitor and adjust all the time. So we're trying to bring everything into smaller areas to where we can monitor them more easily. We've set some procurement standards, especially with all our new construction for things that we'll be using, as well as our network mapping. And we have a full replacement schedule now that's really streamlining our technology management and our services. So we're able to stay up to date as things are starting to age out. We are already thinking about what's coming into the next to replace it. And this is our guideline. This is what we have on our tech page, is how can we help? That's really what we're here for, especially for our students in our community. So, and Hussam?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. I just want to repeat the same thing again. I really so grateful, to work with such a great team, actually. Krisha, with her smile on her face all the time, with, of course, under the leadership of Dr. Melissa Alderman, and also a great team. We have Robert and Sam and Gilbert. Those are really so great, actually. They're great. Yeah. So first I would like to say about what we have done so far. So we installed this year about 1,000 devices, like any kind of devices. We have student devices, we have staff devices, we have network devices, security devices. So in total, like around about 1,000 devices. And for the tickets, we completed about 1,000 tickets as well. So those tickets, when we respond to the ticket, we respond to the ticket within a day or two maximum. Sometimes we respond right away if it's something like urgent or an emergency. So sometimes it takes longer, to be honest. If there is a piece of hardware we need to purchase, so sometimes it takes longer than that, but usually between a day or two maximum. For the in total, we have about 7,500 devices in total. Like the same thing, we have like students' devices and Chromebooks. We have teachers' devices, laptops, and document cameras, all kinds of things. And for the security also, we have the cameras, network, we have access points, we have switches. Yeah, a lot of things. Even we have the marquee. We're maintaining the marquee with paging system. Everything, yeah, it takes time. That's a lot of devices we're maintaining and securing as well. Thank you.
So yes, we've been busy in our department, if you wouldn't mind. It's not, okay. All right. And so as far as the supports and services that go in with that, so we do a lot of, as Hussam had said, a lot of the replacement and installation for all the technology and equipment that we have at the sites. Our server and communications for our monitoring and maintenance, as well as our filters. And when it comes to our device orders, we do a lot of supports with purchasing, not only, within our infrastructure, but in all the departments as well. And we also support the use of those tools with trainings, making sure that we have a proper onboarding, especially when it comes to our curriculum applications and all of that. We have Clever system. We have integrations with Aries. So we're always constantly making sure everything's connecting correctly. I know with the AWS thing the other day, that's really what that infrastructure is. And so when that went down, connections went down. So just making sure that all that's up to date, as well as obtaining student data privacy agreements for all of those applications to make sure our student data is kept private and secure. Our team does a really nice job too with the setup and support of all of our district meetings and trainings that we have. And as Hussam was also mentioning, our response to our daily technical issues, and really just making sure again that everything's integrated, that it's running smoothly, and that goes on a day-to-day basis. And in terms of the ed tech components within that, one of the pieces that we're implementing right now is the integration of AI tools. So Gemini, Notebook, LM, Adobe Express, and Canva are some that we have access to at this point. There is a lot of AI awareness and responsible use through staff trainings that we're integrating, as well as digital citizenship lessons with Nearpod. This month is Digital Citizenship Month. In my weekly tech or my monthly Tech Bites, I put out the Nearpod lessons that people could attach to, and we're going to start integrating more of those throughout. We're doing our pilot group for Gemini. So in our PD Day, as Becky mentioned, we're really working on the Google Suite for staff, seeing how those integrations can help streamline. And we also, all of our staff have access to Notebook LM, the Gemini chat, and the Google Gemini in our Google Classroom, which is really nice. And so we're starting to see some of the integration and feedback with those tools. We're also reviewing the integration of AI literacy via use of some of the tools for students as well. So right now, those aren't open to students yet, but Notebook LM actually has a really nice component that has flashcards and some other things that we can start working on for student use. For our onboarding and trainings for new programs and applications, was able to work with Melanie. We have our Parent Square voice calling. So we're able to do some trainings with that, as well as some of the other onboardings, as Becky had mentioned, with Dibbles and all of that. And then one of the fun things that Becky and I got to do today is we were able to have our final interview with the Verizon Innovative Schools grant for our middle schools. And they were asking us about how we're able to integrate our technology, as well as trainings and things for staff with that, and have that real good balance for our staff to understand the uses and the integrations within the classrooms to help support our initiatives that we have for literacy. And so that's the picture up there. We had our representative from VILS come in to our 2 middle schools and interview our staff, interview our students. And it was just a really nice meeting with them. So we're hoping to continue to move forward. That we'll find out about that in November. So yeah. And that is what we have for you today as far as our technology pieces.
Questions from the board? Comments? You go first. I'll give you first.
First of all, great presentation. Thank you. I think you hit all the major points I wanted to learn about today. Last time we talked about, are we switching internet providers?
Did
Our backbone?
Yeah.
The internet provider is through MCOE.
And they're,
It's Cynic.
okay,
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
That's who we've had.
yeah.
we've always had, okay.
Always.
Question on that. If the internet goes down through MCOE, are we completely out of it, or do we have a backup internet provider that we can look into? Because for me, it's like the internet is so needed in the classroom, depending on what teacher uses it, that goes down, the instruction goes down, you know? And for me as a teacher, when the internet goes down, it's like, oh, what am I going to do now? You know, everything was on there, you know? And so I'm just wondering, is that something possibly in the future of having some type of backup
Yeah,
backbone?
that's possible. We can think about that. And at the same time, we have hotspots also
Mhm.
Yeah.
for.
Yeah,
for
that's what I was-
emergency.
yeah.
Yes, that's also we can use. We have also like a router.
Mhm.
It's a Wi-Fi,
Mhm.
and you can put in a classroom.
Mhm.
It serves, like 25 students.
Perfect. I mean, for me, that as a teacher, if I have a backup where if the internet does go down for whatever reason,
Yeah.
you know, I can switch to something else. Might be slower a little bit, but at least I get the instruction out, you know, for that day. So whatever we can do to develop that, you know, or expand upon it, you know, I think maybe the board might want to consider. The second thing was the daily technical issues. When a teacher, something happens in their system, computer's not booting, software's not accessing, their logon's not right. How do they contact you guys? Is it, I understand the daily ticket, I mean, the individual tickets, but if they need to get on the phone and say, hey, this is going on right now, is that available, or how do?
Available too, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we prefer of course, the ticketing.
Oh, yeah,
system.
no, that I get, yeah.
But of course, if they call, yeah, we have to respond and, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it'd be surprised because when I call our district deck, it just rings and rings and, you know, and then it goes to a recording. So, you know, I just want to make sure that,
We usually have to respond,
yes, yes.
of course. If we're available, yeah, of course, we'll respond.
And I'm sure most of them happen in the morning. So, right, even before you get started, right? Yeah, right before.
Devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the Verizon Innovative Grants?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yes.
Sorry, girl.
Oh.
Sorry, it's just-
Okay.
Gonna ask.
What's
Sorry,
the
Alba.
purpose? What are they going to provide? What are their criteria?
Their criteria is they actually are, it's a 4-year grant. They, outside of the provision of devices for our students, that's really kind of not the main component. They're actually serving our needs in terms of our progress for literacy for our students. And what they will provide are LTE
Mhm.
integrated Chromebooks. We talked with them today about that in the provision for all of our middle school students and teachers. And so it allows access and equity.
Mhm.
And they will provide training for our instructional coaches that we have at the sites.
Mhm.
So that way they can be in the classrooms as part of that provision. It's already part of their coaching model that we have. We'll get additional training for those integrations. So things around design thinking for our students and really billeting in the use of technology to allow our students to progress with, again, our goals for literacy and numeracy.
Okay, but they are going to provide hardware basically.
What's
You
that?
know, they're providing hardware.
No, we actually get a lot of training through
And
them.
training.
They will provide a coach that will come in and work with our district, all of our leadership team
Mhm.
that we have. Becky and I are the leadership team with that, as well as our principals. They will check in 3 times a year
Mhm.
with us and provide training. We'll actually, once we're receiving the grant, we will go out for a training with them as well.
How much is the grant?
It's dependent on, it has some different components with it. They're actually providing up to $25,000 per salary base for our coaches. It has a model for a tech assistant at each of the schools as well, which would also allow us to provide technology clubs at our lunches and things as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's a pretty robust
Two
grant.
more. This is really
Go
quick.
ahead.
Is that okay?
Yep.
One thing that fascinates me and I love it is my big ViewSonic, you know, in my room. You know, how is that deployment going? How is that training going for teachers? Just some, you know, numbers or.
Yeah, it's going well. We just installed 10 more into our classrooms, so we're on that replacement schedule. We're bringing down televisions. The cool thing is that we also, some of the videos that we are, going to be releasing, we were able to donate to some of our local churches in the area, which is really nice. In terms of the training, when we install, we give them guides with that. I also have a Google Classroom that's created that teachers can log into to get different trainings, and ViewSonic's built it into that as well. So the use is going really well with that. We've gotten some really nice feedback with our teachers.
Yeah, I would just love to see it because I know some teachers don't use it as much as others, you know, and I think the issue is lack of training on a one-on-one basis, you know.
I very much agree. And that's
Whatever
one of our huge proponents is to make sure that we do have, it's not just plunked in the classroom, that it's something that they're trained on and are utilizing.
Perfect. My last thing is about AI. Gemini is a great AI program from Google. I appreciate it. Where is the district in terms of creating that line between learning and having AI not be detrimental to learning? You know, I hope we're creating that buffer zone where, and so it has to start with the teachers and they themselves learning the applications of AI. And also at the same time, knowing the limits of when to say no, you know, so our students aren't engaging in what I call pseudo learning.
Yeah.
You know, they create passages here and there, but they're not really original work, you know. And so, you know, I would love to see the development of some type of a policy from the board or from the admin regarding where's that line, where's that buffer zone, and how are we going to make sure that it's used in the best intentional purposes, but not at a disadvantage of the overall learning process. Because that is my fear with AI. I love AI, you know, I do. And I do implement it in my class, especially with creating lessons and stuff like that. But I worry about students over reliance on it, especially when it comes to creating original thought process, original writing, original products, you know. So I just be a little bit careful with that. But I think we should move forward, obviously. You know, I think it's a great tool, but that's all it is. You know, so whatever the board and the
What I can say
Yeah.
is Krisha and her team, even at the latest PD day, running Gemini sessions, having a pilot group, you hit the nail on the head with it's got to start with the teachers, right? And then building out what do those parameters in action really look like? And I would say that's where we're at right now. And so she's had her pilot group and they come in for the trainings and commit to those things, to have that level of access, in the system for those tools. And it's not just for having teachers and their students engage with it. Like Krisha's, I'm just trying to give her a shout out for being like forward thinking and the trainings and conferences that she and Hussam and the team have gone to and focused on that instructional piece also and how to be innovative without creating some serious muddy waters for our students and the academics moving forward. And so they've put a lot of energy into that. And I think as we progress and we bring those things together in our tech plan for the board, I think you'll be really pleased with how conscious they are about that process, and our teachers who are engaged in it early, and the feedback that they're going to be able to give as we move forward. That was my saying. That's where they're at, and they're really focused on that. And
I just wanted to add really quickly too, this is a great opportunity to do a quick little plug. I was talking to Krisha today because Migrant Ed Speech and Debate is coming up. And I know I'm going to make a connection for you right now. The topics for speech and debate this year in Migrant Ed are, I had to pull it up so I got it right because I was watching videos telling Krisha, does artificial intelligence have the potential to solve some of humanity's greatest challenges? And should I be used to enhance human creativity? And then the other one is artificial intelligence poses a greater benefit than threat to society. So those are the topics that our students are going to be arguing this year in Migrant Ed Speech and Debate. So Mr. Patel, those high school students at Alice are going to be researching that. So
I thank you. And last but not least, I just want to say thank you. For many, many years, one of the main reasons I joined this board was because of technology issues. And I'm so proud of the team that we have at the school district. I think we're the best above par, in this area. And so continue the great work you're doing. We went from a small fledgling district to now the leading edge, and so I just want to say thank you. You have my confidence. You have my support, and just continue the great work you guys are doing. I'm just so proud of how far we've come. And right now, when I'm looking at this information, it just lets me know that you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and for our students, our community, and this district. So please, I just want to say thank you. You are very well respected and very well appreciated. And, this is the future. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Alvariano, I'm so sorry. Some of your questions.
No, that's okay. Neil asked the questions that I was going to ask, and that was the Verizon and the AI. But thank you, very informational. That's it. Other than it was a very informative technology report. It was good to see you, Krisha, and Hussam. I haven't seen you in a long time, but it was good seeing you. It's been a while. But you guys are really doing a great job. And the handsome men back there also, thank you very, very much for all that you guys do. It's a great team, a great team.
Thank you.
So, but come and visit us more, Hassan.
Sarah Turner, did you have questions?
I just want to add my thanks for all you do. It's noticed and appreciated.
Yeah, just to echo, thank you guys always being so helpful and flexible and professional and friendly for everything you guys do. So, and it looks like we're moving in the right direction too. The Verizon grant, when would we know as a district if that is received potentially?
Mid-November.
Mid-November. Okay. If we are blessed enough to receive the grant, if we can maybe do some type of press release and press conference, because that'll be good news coverage as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Board President, just a quick comment. I switched over to Verizon years ago because the coverage with the alternative is very poor in this area. So Verizon is very well respected in this area. The signal is strong. The antennas are good.
It is.
I don't have dead spots. I hope you're listening, Verizon.
They do give educator discounts.
Good job.
Yes.
Good plug.
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. And thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We like clapping.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to action item 9.1, approval of annual report for Proposition 28, Arts and Music in Schools.
Thank you. As part of our Arts and Music in Schools allotment from Proposition 28, we are required to provide an annual report on how those funds are being expended. And so you can see the full report attached to this item, but primarily it's used for our 2 elementary VAPA teachers, not the music teachers because they were already in existence, but the movement and dance teachers, contracted personnel to provide direct instruction services to students, the mural projects at New Republic and Gavilan View, instrument repair, which is an ongoing need, and materials and supplies to support arts and music.
I just want to thank the voters of California for passing this proposition. Proposition 28 is vitally needed. And unless anybody else wants to speak, I want a motion to approve.
Okay, can I get a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion,
Yeah, Captain.
motion 4-0.
Okay, item 9.2 is approval of Emerges contract for behavior aid.
That's me. This is just behavior aid to support one of our students that just started with us. They came in with this on their IEP.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 9.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, Captain.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, item 9.3, approval of CSBA manual maintenance August and September 2025.
Thank you. I want to thank Ms. Turner for this one because they came with some back-to-back. We had an August and a September packet. And we had some changes in law where we needed to shore up our opt-out provisions for different areas for parents. And so those policies went in the August packet. And then we had our normal quarterly packet for September. So what we did this time with some feedback from Ms. Turner was to add more notes with it. So a summary attachment. So we're giving just a little more info. It's fun to read all the board policies. And then you have a slightly shorter version for the guide sheet. But if you want the real Cliff Notes, we're going to start doing some summary notes for people to know what were those changes in it. And it's just a one sentence about what was the most significant change.
Yeah, I requested this and I appreciate the response. I did read all the stuff, guys, and think about it and how we would best implement it. And it was really a lot this time, and a lot of it is in the implementation and nuance. Like, what does an opt-out mean? What do we need to allow parents to opt out of? How do we, as Summer mentioned before, if you're, for instance, opting out of a screening, can we then call people and say, can we give you some more information about what you're opting out of? So appreciations for new law and appreciation for all the legal guidelines that we get. So I did ask for a summary because I just thought to myself, I felt like you guys needed a more condensed version because it was just really a lot.
No, I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Sarah, for your due diligence. We really appreciate it. And staff. With that motion to approve?
Sorry, that was the second then? Okay.
No, that was
No, that was a comment. So Neil, I will do the second.
Okay. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Captain.
Motion 4-0.
Approval of MOU between SRUSD and CSEA for reduction of work year for 2 positions.
Thank you. The district and CSCA met to discuss the needs to reduce the work year for 2 vacant central kitchen food service assistant positions. Because of the elimination of the 12-month preschool program within our district, there's no longer a need to have staff services for the 11 months, so they would go back to 10 months like the other employees in that classification.
Okay, pretty straightforward. Can I get a motion to approve?
So motioned?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Captain.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, approval of MOU between SRUSD and CSA for the special ed interpretation / translation services stipend.
Thank you. Similarly, an ongoing conversation between the district and CSCA has been the need to provide specialized training to unit members who provide translation or interpretation of IEPs and other special education services. And so an agreement that we have come to is that unit members who successfully complete the district approved training for the interpretation and translation of SPED services will receive a $2,500 one-time stipend. The training is extensive and after work hours. 70% of the stipend will be paid in December of the year of completion, and the remaining 30% in the second year, as long as the employee is still employed with us providing those services. The number of available stipends per fiscal year is limited to up to 12 participants. We thought 2 per school site would be good to develop this capacity. The district pays the tuition directly to the institution providing the training. Currently, that's through University of Georgia Center for Continuing Education. And then when an employee is doing that high-level interpretation, such as for an IEP, they will be eligible to receive out-of-class pay at the range of 34, which is the interpreter-translator range for that service that they provide.
Perfect. Can I get a motion to approve?
So motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Kevin.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, on advanced planning, 10.1, our next regular board meeting will be November 12, 2025. Is there any suggested future board items? If not, can I please get a motion to adjourn at 7:09?
So motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Kevin.
Motion 4-0.
Okay, have a nice evening, everyone.